Hello, welcome back everyone. So now we're going to look at question 4, and this is from Jacqueline. Jacqueline wanted to know that when she's doing her tambour beading, she wants to alternate between bugle beads, seed beads, sequins, and a variety of different style of beads. So how does she do that? Does she need to thread up that combination in one go? Now what I'm going to suggest is, as suggested in the previous video, which was when I was looking at the slate frame showing you about working on opaque fabric, is instead of threading up the combination, so pre-strung beads, remember you can just move them onto the thread like so. If you were going to do a combination on that thread, it would take a long time. It's just a bit of too much time to thread up exactly the combination and then start to do the tambour beading. So I'm going to show you on a hoop, because this is also another great way if you want to do transfer an applique or a piece of work. You can do that using the hoop as well. So the hoop here, as you can see, has been wrapped with bias binding, and I'm just working on this little bird, which will eventually get hand stitched onto a linen top that I've been making. So what I've used is the embroidery thread, and I've used the metallic, and I've just pinned those out the way. So I haven't brought them to the back yet, just because if we're going to do any work with the hook, it's better that they're on the right side, just so they don't catch underneath. Here I've got sequins, 2 cut satin finished beads, blueberry colour, and I've also got the silver lined tubes. So I'm working on the right side of the fabric, and all I'm doing, if you have a look at my design, I'm just doing twists and turns, and I'm just picking up different beads as I go along. So I've just put a sequin on now. There's no particular flow on which one's going to go next. So really it's a great way to alternate, but just think about the colour palette, and all you do is you just unlatch your hook, and then just pick up one of the beads, place it on the hook first. You're just going to latch that on. You're just going to let that drop down, and then you're just going to catch the other side of the bead. Now this is explained in a lot of detail in the foundational level for the Ari technique. And this is what Ari really is. It's working on the right side of the fabric. But what's really great about it is it allows you to chop and change between which bead you're going to put on next. And also, you know, you can actually see what you're doing. So it's perfect for working on opaque fabric. Okay, so I'm just releasing the thread, and I'm just picking up the sequin, and that just gives me the freedom to choose which one I want to apply. I'll just go into the tail a bit more. Okay, the needle that I'm using is a size 70 needle, and this is ideal particularly if you want to use smaller beads. So if you want to use 15O beads, for example, they will actually go through the hook. They'll go onto the hook. So I'm just working my way through the tail. So you just unlatch, pick up the bead, place that on the hook, and then just pull your loop down just to catch it. And then all you're doing is you're just pushing that bead down, and then you're just catching the other side. And the white thread is also the fil à gant Couture Beading thread. So I'm just going to add one more bead here. Just going to add a very small anchor stitch before I decide to come back. And then I'm just going to come back along this line here. Sequin on there. So the idea of using the hoop is, if you're just working on a piece that you might use for an applique, it's quite handy to do that. And I can go in a bit more detail on how to transfer beadwork to a garment that's already been finished, as a lot of people are curious about that one. So where it is a little bit tough to go back through, you need to just make sure when you lift it through the fabric, you're pushing, make it quite a firm push on the back of the hook to bring it through. Okay, so these are just little things that will help you on your journey. Okay, we'll just go into this tail here because it's quite dense, the embroidery. Now, I would say when you do tambour beading, you really don't want to have the embroidery done. But when you're using the RA technique and you're on the right side, your embroidery might want to be the first thing that you do, because you want to have an overlay of beads, which is really more about a design preference. But just bear in mind that when you're plunging the hook, it does feel a bit more dense going through, like there. So when you lift it up, make sure you really push on the back of the hook to bring it through. I'm just going to add another sequin there. These are 4mm sequins, and they've got a natural mother of pearl effect, and these are also available on the website. And just do one more sequin here to finish, one more seed tube. Just push that on there, like so. Do a small anchor stitch just in that corner there, and then work your way back down. So, oops. The stitches that I'm doing are also relevant to the width of the bead, the length of the bead I should say. So I really want to keep the length of the thread consistent as well. Just drop that. So I'm just going to pick up the previous loop, there we go. And then, oops, that beadwork, the embroidery was just a little bit dense there, so just going to push up. One of the satin finished beads. And actually what's really nice is when you use a variety of different types of beads, it just really creates a lot more dimension. You know, it really sort of helps to bring out the best in the design. And that's what's so beautiful about working with beads, is there's so many different types of beads out there, which is great. So most of the beads that I sell through the site are from, well, they're exported by France, but nearly all of crystal glass globally is actually from Czech Republic. So that is actually where crystal glass originates from. So, but France is obviously one of the main exporters of pre-strung beads. And then you've got things like crystals, Swarovski, and Preciosa is a really good brand as well. I also use Japanese beads too. So Japanese beads, the main ones are Toho, Matsuno and Mayuki. And what's great about those is they're very accurate the way they've been cut, so I highly recommend working with those ones. And I actually I use those a lot for edging and things, because it's so good that they're always the same. They're very uniform, they're very consistent. Okay, so I'm just coming back into the design now. So I'm just going to follow that embroidery there before I start twisting and turning again. So just pick up the loop and then, oops. Sorry, I'm just trying to locate my thread underneath the hook, underneath the fabric. There we go. just plunging through, just following that direction of embroidery. And as you can see, I'm not doing it in a particular order, I'm just mixing it up. So I'm choosing which one feels right to put on. There's no set design here, and that's what's really good about it. So you've got the freedom. Remember, you can also use metallic threads as well instead of the gant, which is great if you're just working with lightweight beads. Remember, the metallic thread is more of a decorative stitch, so it's sort of less durable than the gant if it comes to applying beadwork. Okay, I'll just do a couple more to give you an idea of the gist of everything. So maybe have a go initially, if you're just starting out, just work with the organza, or you could do it on tulle, which is like a fine netting, and just play around with those materials. Sometimes you do find that with the linen it can catch every now and again. I'm just going to change direction and just go down here. Pick up a sequin. There we go. And I've just placed my beads on a piece of velvet that I just made, so I just hemmed the edges, and just a great way to stop them from moving on velvet as well. And we'll just do one more in the middle of this part here. I think we'll leave the head, because another thing to consider is that I might just put a sequin somewhere here, because you've got the eye, you don't want it to look confusing. And what I will do, if you are interested, is I can show you how I actually transfer this as an applique. Okay, so just let me know if you want to see a video for that, and I'll transfer this little bird onto the top once it's finished. Okay, so let's just put the final bead in this area here. Oops, just do that again. See how that thread's just twisted twice around it? So sometimes I just unlatch and then pick it back up again. That really helps to make sure that thread's not twisting. So just pick it back up, the thread, and then we'll just do a finishing knot here. Okay, and then just going to trim that off. Lovely. So I'm going to work on this bit separately. Once I've finished it, I'll show you when it's finished, and then if you would like to see a video of me transferring it onto the finished top, then I'm happy to do that. Because often you've got the combination of doing beadwork on a garment that's already been made up. So you might have a garment, or you're looking to restyle something. That would be very important to sort of consider those things. The other thing, if you do want to know how to actually transfer do a beaded garment from scratch, have a look at this video which shows you about framing up a larger frame that would be beneficial for you to actually transfer the pattern pieces and do the beadwork from scratch. Okay, so I hope this is helpful. Thank you, Jacqueline, for the question. I'm sure that helped out many other people as well. And good luck with all of the courses online. The intermediate level will be coming out soon as well, so stay tuned for that one. And I'll be answering another question tomorrow. Okay, so take care and I'll see you then.